What's up, everybody? It's Arlen from Pokedoki EDC, and as promised, gonna do a little comparison video between one of my favorite knives, the McNees Mac2, and a fan favorite, CRK Sebenza 21. Okay, so first things first, let's look at just overall dimensions. If we're looking at these two knives, they are relatively the same length. The Sebenza is a little bit longer, not by any drastic scale. If we're talking about legitimate measurements, you're coming in about 4 inches on the Sebenza in overall length with it closed, and on the Mac 2 you're coming in at just over 3.5, or just over 3.5 with the way the handle is shaped. So talking about half an inch shorter with the Mac 2. However, even though it's a shorter knife, it is a much thicker knife. Okay, so this is our CRK, this is our Mac 2. If we were to stack these two on top of each other, okay, maybe that's a better viewpoint for you. They are slightly different as far as their overall profile. The CRK is a little bit slimmer. The Mac 2 is a little thicker. Also, your overall handle profile, if we're to stack those two on top of each other, okay, your overall handle profile is a little different as well, which leads to the Mac 2 just being kind of an overall wider knife in the pocket, if that makes sense. So a little slimmer on the CRK side, a little shorter overall on the McNees side, okay? But again, drastically different knives, both in the overall build and in the execution and design of them. Now, obviously, I'm going to say this because this is one of my most carried knives. I'm a big fan of McNees custom knives, and I'm a big fan of the Mac 2 and just the overall build. I've said this before. I've done 2 videos on this so far. This just strikes me as a American style. From the blade shape to the handle shape, it just reminds me of like an old buck, but beefed up and on bearings and 20 CV. You know what I mean? Whereas the CRK is a much different approach to the same thing. CRK's attention to detail, I think, might be second to none. And this is coming from somebody who wasn't a real big CRK fan. I still don't know that I am a real big CRK fan. Kind of yet to be determined. Okay? But they do make an excellent product. I don't really think you can say that they don't. It is not out of the box. It is not hydraulic shut or anything like that. But what strikes me out of the box is that there's not really a extremely rough edge on the thing. Everything's been tumbled. The angles that are all taken off. What really impresses me is the clip. As weird as that sounds, I think the clip is just an awesome design with that little double divot. It really helps it stay in the pocket, and it's not that shallow. So I don't really feel the need to get a deep carry clip for it if I were to keep it. Okay. Again, blade shape is different. It's a thinner knife, but okay, it is about the same blade length if we look at this. Okay, obviously 2 different kinds of blades, but it's about the same blade length overall, which means you can kind of do the same things overall. As far as grip is concerned, you know, I'm going to change the camera angle to show you guys, but I feel like the Mac 2 fits better in my hand. I have a bigger hand. I also got a small Sebenza, not a large Sebenza, because I felt like that would be a better comparison between the two. Okay? I can get into the technical specs of these knives, guys, but you have a laptop, you have a phone. Okay, but overall, there's your aesthetic differences. Very drastically different knives. So if we're talking about action, right? The action on the Mac 2 is quick. It flies out. It has a really strong detent. Okay, it wants to drop shut on your finger. That's what it is. I've talked to a couple people, and actually help them out loosening up their Mac2s, because the detent's so strong when you first get out of the box that it's really hard to open right-handed with your fingers on the lock bar, which I can obviously do and it doesn't matter now. But when you first get it, it's real tight and it's real hard to do. So, super smooth action on the Mac2, okay? On bearings, strong detent, which means it flies out when it does disengage. Our CRK, you guys all know this, is kind of different from that. CRK has very tight tolerances. They don't even recommend that you flick it open, okay? I have been working on this one to get the action a little better, and it's still pretty tight just because of build quality. You know, I can probably, I can flick it open with my thumb, so it's getting better. And it's starting to wear some grooves or wear some pattern into the blade and into the titanium on the handles. So it's starting to kind of smooth itself out. But I feel like whoever had it before me probably didn't use it that much. So I'm kind of trying to break it in for the first time, I guess. But you have very different action. Okay, this is not a knife that's meant to be flicked open. I mean, even the CRK people say that they want you to thumb roll it, okay, instead of flicking it open. I have seen plenty of videos, though, of these things that are extremely flickable, and when they do get worn in, they will drop shut. They call it that hydraulic action, okay? But out of the box, I would say that the McNees Mac2 has a better action than the CRK does. And again, that's just a matter of opinion. Which one's a better knife? Maybe we can argue about that a little bit. I don't have an opinion because, like I said at the beginning of the video, they are drastically different knives, okay? We're talking about two knives that are both solid, made in the USA knives, okay? But they're made drastically different. The Mac2 feels like a tank. It feels like you can do pretty much anything that you want to with it. It's got really good build quality, okay? You're backing a really good company, okay? Those guys are on the expansion because of what they're doing, because of their custom work, and then also now because of their performance machine line, which is the Mac2. CRK, I don't even need to talk about it because there are so many people that love CRKs. There are also a lot of people that hate CRKs. I was somewhere in the middle. I was not a huge CRK fan before I got one in the pocket. About 5 minutes after carrying one, I kind of understood why people like them. They are extremely smooth. They are very, very well made. You can't knock the craftsmanship that CRK has. But which knife is better? It really depends on what you're doing. It really depends on what you want. You know, if you're working in a job where you don't really want bearings because bearings get dirty easy, then a phosphorus bronze knife is probably better. You know, if you're looking for that classic American aesthetic, well, then I think the Mac2 is your knife. If you're looking for something that's a little bit more out of the ordinary, I think the CRK is a knife. And one thing I'll say about the CRK, again, I am extremely impressed with the engineering of the knife, if that's the right vernacular for it. I'm really impressed with the hardware. I'm really impressed that it is one Allen head or one Allen size that can take the entire knife apart. I think that's great. I hate when I have to get, like I just bought a hinderer, for instance, and there are 3 different bits I have to use to take it apart and put it back together. Kind of frustrating. It having one Allen size is awesome, okay? Again, you cannot knock the quality of a Chris Reeves knife. You really can't. If you're going to knock it for anything, you can knock it for being vanilla. Okay? If you want to complain about something, you can complain about it being vanilla, but they do sell those knife art versions, and they do sell ones with custom micarta inlays and stuff like that. Or if you're really dangerous, you can go get your warranty voided and do some custom work on it. Okay? Which, if I do keep this one, is probably where it's going, because I'm not super worried about the warranty, because I got a good deal on it. So if I don't do that, I'm going to set it free without ruining it. But which knife is better, guys? I really think that's up to you. Again, These are two very, very good knives. Two very, very different knives. But two knives that both serve the same purpose, and that is that they are a great tool. Okay? So whether you like CRKs or whether you like Mac2s, I think you're going to be okay either way. All right, guys.